It is podcast time,
That's right.
and it's been a minute. Not for our viewers, but for us.
It's funny though. For me, it's like, well, I just finished editing the previous one last weekend, so it's not like I've heard our voices pretty recently.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I mean, we still have seen each other each weekend,
Yeah,
so
but I consider our podcast personalities as very different people.
different voices.
Yeah, even the past ones are different than the one right now. So the Igor that you're listening to right now is different from the Igor in the previous episode. It's as if like I kill the person who records that episode right after, so that it's always distinct personalities.
Well, if that's what you do,
I don't literally do it. I don't kill myself every episode.
just figuratively,
Figurative,
metaphorically,
metaphorically, yes.
that's still weird, but okay. I'm pretty sure I'm still the same person, so
Oh, I like to think that it's not the case.
I think you're wrong.
Metaphorically.
I still think you're wrong, even metaphorically. I think I'm the same on the podcast as I am anywhere else.
What about medically?
What do you mean medically?
Well, we said metaphorically, figuratively, literally. What about medically?
Yeah, no, medically I think I'm fine also. And I don't think I've changed. I don't think I've changed week to week, so that's where we're at. But if you're a different Igor, then tell me something new about yourself.
Oh, there's nothing new. It's all the same.
Oh, so it's a different Igor, but not a different Igor.
Yeah, it's like a clone. Think of it that way. It's like a figurative clone.
But clones can be different, personality wise. I guess even physically, technically. It's not inherent that they're the exact same as the.
Yeah, but I subscribe to the Hollywood definition of a clone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the easy one, the one where they are identical, except for the belly button.
Except for the belly button. So you have slightly different belly buttons each week?
Well, no, that's how The Simpsons did it, right? When Homer cloned himself with the hammock, the clones did not have belly buttons.
Right.
Only the original did. And I don't know where they got that from. Obviously, they got this from a Hollywood movie or something, maybe a Twilight Zone episode. But
Oh, maybe that.
I do wonder what the shtick was in the original. I never looked that up.
Realistically, clones wouldn't need belly buttons.
Exactly, but that's what they. I guess that's how they convinced themselves of that. Because you don't need the umbilical cord if you're cloned.
Yeah. Also, apparently that's a thing in some Star Wars thing, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay. The Attack of the Clones, that movie.
But no, it was way after The Simpsons. Okay, hold on. That's kind of weird. Apparently, this is a big thing in the Star Wars community. The debate on whether or not all the clones had belly buttons.
Then maybe that's it. I mean, that episode probably came out around that time, so it would make sense. Do you have a belly button?
Not being a clone, I'm going to say yes.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to check, right? Imagine one day you wake up, you look at your belly, and you don't have a belly button. Wouldn't you freak out?
Would it matter if you were a clone?
No, but I just imagine that, like, you go through your whole life, you think you're the original, but then someday you wake up and suddenly,
You realize you're a clone?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could just go on day to day, no problem, but still, you'd have that in the back of your mind, like, what the hell happened to my belly button?
There's a side arc in the Invincible TV show. That one about the cartoon about superheroes.
One of your favorites, yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Yeah, where one of the government agents, one of the prominent ones, dies and then comes back, and slowly, I think this was a season 2 arc, slowly realizes that he's actually like an android that they keep reviving.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So then he's got to deal with that identity crisis of he always thought he was. They never maintained his, recollection of dying. So he always thought he was one persistent being.
I mean, it's effectively the same thing, though.
Well, it's not though, because he always thought he was a human, and
But he still went on with his regular life, right?
yeah, I mean, he had a pretty hard identity crisis, but I think he ended up working it out.
Yeah. Well, which is, yeah, honestly, he probably did better than many people in the real world.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's still a thing to consider. If every part of you is replaced and they just keep wiping your memory and make you think that everything's continuous and it's not, and how does that affect you? How does it affect you when you're not you anymore? Or are you you?
That could happen anytime you fall asleep, right? You never know what's happening while you're asleep.
That's true.
You could very well be dying every time you fall asleep, and then as soon as you wake up, you're a brand new person, with everything being continuous, obviously, so that you're none the wiser.
That's yeah. That's yeah. So the lesson is never fall asleep.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who unfortunately have tried to do that as a result of thinking this way.
And then they die.
No, the worst thing is though the lack of sleep will make them be even more paranoid about the situation, and it'll get progressively worse.
That is true.
That's the scary thing. So don't listen to me, listeners. Don't try to do anything like this at home.
There's a prion disease.
What's a prion?
So a prion is a DNA strand. And so prion disease is a misfolded DNA strand. And everybody knows, actually, most people do know what, they have an idea of what a prion disease is. Mad cow disease is a prion disease in cows.
Oh, I see.
And it can work its way over into humans. And it's incurable. And it's extremely resistant. Because it's not like a living thing per se. It's not a cellular organism, like an infection or fungal disease or anything like that. It can't easily be exterminated even after death. So if doctors operate on somebody who has a prion disease, they have to throw out all their medical equipment because it can't be sterilized. You're not supposed to bury bodies that have prion diseases because even years later, if animals eat some of that flesh, they can get the prion disease and then work its way back into society. You're literally just supposed to if somebody dies from prion disease, you have to just burn them.
Send them off into space.
Yeah.
So that we can recreate Dead Space for real.
Yep, exactly. So anyways, it creates like holes in your brain, essentially.
How big are the holes?
I don't know. You have to
like bullet size.
You can Google that. But anyways, there's a lot of different prion diseases, and one of the prion diseases does not allow you to sleep.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it's called, but it doesn't allow you to sleep. It slowly takes away your ability to fall asleep.
Probably removes that chemical that causes drowsiness, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the whole shtick is. I've seen some YouTube. Some nice thing about YouTube is that everything's on there, right? So I've seen some people who have been like documenting their decline, and usually it's very fast. It happens very fast. I knew somebody at work whose brother had a prion disease, and he died within something like. It started with him like falling while mowing the grass, and between that and his death, it was like 2 weeks. It was really fast.
This was the anti-sleep one.
No, this was the mad cow disease equivalent. The sleep one happens really fast though too, but literally they try to fall asleep and they just jerk awake. Like, I don't know if you ever had that. I have that sometimes where,
oh yeah,
like if you fall asleep at a bad time, your body will like violently jerk you awake.
I love that. I love that feeling.
Yeah.
I wish I could recreate it. It's like it gives you a nice jolt, you know?
There you go. That's right.
It's not even, it doesn't happen to me when I'm falling asleep at a bad time or anything like that. It's literally just random for some reason.
Oh, it usually happens to me when it's a bad time.
Like a bad time in the evening, or just a bad time in your like personal life, or what do you mean?
Well, no, like when I shouldn't be sleeping.
Oh, okay.
So like if I'm in like at work or something like that, it'll happen at that, at work. Because your brain knows when you should sleep and when you shouldn't. Like it's kind of a reflex for most people. Sometimes they'll check to see if you're dead. I guess that's a thing.
It's like, are you still living there, Dustin? Huh?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's let me see if I can. There's a name for that. I believe it's called myoclonic jerk.
Oh yeah, I think I remember hearing that.
It's your body kind of just checking to make sure everything's okay.
For what it's worth, I think it's only ever happened to me when I've actually actively tried to fall asleep.
Really?
Maybe it's happened when I was like on an airplane or something, but ultimately it was in the comfort of my bed that it would happen normally.
Like I've had it happen in my bed for sure, but I find that, I don't know, for me it happens probably more when I'm out and dozing off, and I'll just jerk awake, and it's
No, I get it. You see that in like even in like movies, I guess, or TV shows. You see a character driving his car and he's falling asleep, and then suddenly he jerks awake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I get that sometimes.
Hopefully not while driving.
No, because I don't fall asleep when I'm driving. Yeah, so your body jerks to make sure it's still alive. So it's kind of It's kind of weird. I don't know when it decides to do that or not, but
Yeah, I wonder if they can stimulate a part of your brain that does that to like
this one
cause
says
it
it's
to
called
happen.
hypnic jerk. Hypnic jerk. That's what it's called. My calling jerks something the same but different.
Man, those jerks.
But anyway, so from watching the YouTube videos, that's kind of what happens until it just gets to a point where you just can't sleep, and then obviously it's so important to sleep that things start to go downhill pretty fast. But there you go. That's prion. That's one of the many prion diseases, and they're absolutely terrifying things. And nobody knows, not necessarily where they come from, but because obviously they do spread from having. So essentially, it's like it's a bad DNA strand that folds in properly, so it creates. It's almost like cancer, but not a cancer because it just creates more bad. Like it infects the good DNA with the bad DNA.
So,
it
so
just
it's like a
start it
lower
just
level of cancer, even.
kinda, yeah,
Because
but it's not
cancer
like
is for
too.
cells, as opposed to this is for the things inside cells.
But it doesn't really grow like cancer cells, right? They grow and they divide usually at an abnormal pace, and they kind of take over the good cells. This one kind of just spreads its misfolded DNA onto good ones.
So it's the cell itself copies that DNA as it does its, as it does its thing.
Yeah, more or less, and then it just starts to collapse in on itself, right? So
It's kind of like viruses, how they spread, right? It's that they themselves don't duplicate, but they cause cells to duplicate them.
yeah, and because of the level it's at, there's no cure or anything like that, and it can happen from a lot of different places. The most common, I mean, it can happen spontaneously, but the most common one is like, this is why you don't eat animals that are infected with mad cow.
Oh, that's the reason.
That's how it can spread.
I was always like, man, let's eat those cows.
There is, I think it was Papua New Guinea. They have a custom, have had, whatever, where they eat parts of the deceased when they die, like cannibalism, but they don't kill. They don't kill for it. Just when they
Ethical
die, they find it
cannibalism.
respectful.
Yeah, ethical
Yeah.
cannibalism.
So they had, or I don't know if they still have it going on or whatever, but they have an unusually high rate of prion diseases because they eat the dead who've been infected, and then they get infected,
The cycle continues.
and the cycle continues. So that was a big thing there.
I'm surprised they're not all dead.
Well, it's not like 100% infection rate.
They must be. There must be some vegetarians there. Vegans, vegetarians. They don't eat the dead.
Like there's people who will eat like mad cows and not.
Oh, so it's not a sure thing.
No, it's not 100%, but very high rate. And we've talked about rabies before, very early in this podcast.
But rabies is not. Just to clarify, rabies is not a prion disease, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not. But I'm saying, just like my point is, just like rabies, it can take like years to manifest. So,
Oh, okay.
so with my coworker's brother, he used to travel for business or whatever 10, 15 years ago, and they think that's where he got it.
Wow. And this and he died recently.
Well, I mean, a few years. I mean, they don't work there anymore, but
But like it took a decade, I guess.
yeah, it took like a decade for them to, and that's just suspecting. They can't really know when it.
Yeah, he might have had a hunk of Papua New Guinea and when he got back every few weeks or something.
That's right. So it could take a while to materialize, but once it does, it usually it goes downhill really fast. So it's scary. There's a lot of scary medical things out there right now. I just read yesterday that fungal diseases are becoming extremely resistant, and it'll be a major problem in the next 10 years.
Where the mushrooms take over.
Yep, the mushrooms, where we get a real life Last of Us.
Hey, I still have to play those games, but I know what you're talking about.
There you go. That's right. You don't have to play the games. You can watch the hit
Oh,
HBO
no,
show.
no, I don't want to do that. I want to play the games first, experience the disappointment of number 2, and then I can watch the show.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
That's the way that they intended it to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Anyways.
In lighter news, I was supposed to remind you, I made a note for myself, because we talked about this quite a while ago now. I was supposed to remind you to buy Count Chocula and Frankenberry cereal because the season is in.
Ooh, good call. The season is in. I gotta start looking for it. You're right. You're 100% correct. I gotta start looking for it. Let me see if Walmart has it.
and let us know when you purchase them so you can do a taste test to remember the good old days.
That's right. Count Chocula.
For what it's worth, I've only ever had Count Chocula from those monster cereals. I don't think I was ever interested in the other ones.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Frankenberry, to be fair.
Oh, okay. I wrote those two because I remember those two were the ones you mentioned. But maybe it was just you looking them up.
Yeah, it was probably just me looking them up. But okay, Count Chocula is not in the store yet. Not at Walmart, anyways. I have to look around. Although I can get it shipped in for $27.
Just one box for $27.
Just one box for $27.
If they could ship like 20 boxes for, like, I don't know what the price would be multiplied by what the box cost is.
That's a good question, though. Like,
I would probably do it. Stuck up.
That's a good question, though. Is how long does this stuff last? Because I'd wholesale order Count Chocula just to have it for the full year.
I mean, I imagine that they last a long time if they're sealed.
Yeah, that's probably true.
At least a few years. I don't think they go bad.
Wholesale order like a whole skid. You'll get it for like a fraction of what you get it for from Walmart.
You could start selling it as well. You could like peddle it on the side.
That's true.
You could get people addicted.
That is true. Nothing could stop me. I could go on eBay and just sell Count Chocula.
And you could gouge people for like you could just 10x it, $10 per box.
Well, fucking not $10. This one's going like on Amazon. They go for $29 a box.
Well, okay, fine. So you'd sell it for $25.
I could make a killing.
It depends on if people actually buy those $29 boxes.
I mean, I guess it's true, but I bet you there are. I bet you they do.
But I think if you lower the price enough, that makes it seem like, oh, this is actually not a bad deal. You get way more people buying it. Like if it was $9.99, you would get way more people than if you put it at like $15.
That is true.
And it's still, I think, way more expensive than it normally would be, right?
I wonder why people don't undercut. I mean, I guess it's a slippery slope, but why people don't undercut people in these kind of situations.
The other sellers on Amazon?
Yeah.
I think what would happen if the other seller's success is they would buy your undercut items.
Oh, and then crank it back up.
And then crank it back up on their end.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because I do that in like when I play like Final Fantasy 14, right? They got an auction house.
Ah, okay.
And so when I have stuff that I want to sell that can go for like a lot of money, I just look at what the prices are and then I just keep mine underneath it. And I'm like, I don't care. It's not really like I just want to offload this and make a little bit of money. I don't care if I'm making what these guys are making. I just need to get ahead of things. I'm like, why don't you do that in real life? But I guess you're right. You undercut it.
You should do what they're doing. You should buy all their product.
And then raise the price. That's right. Scalping is a dangerous game, though, because if you don't do it with the right product at the right time, you can just be left holding the bag, right? Like that was a big thing with...
I mean, doesn't that happen with everything eventually?
Oh, yeah, I guess it's true. It happens with a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think that happened with like the Xboxes or something
even PlayStation's
like that.
probably had that, didn't they?
I'm thinking maybe even the PlayStation 5's on the back end when, things started to even out a little bit. I can't remember. I remember seeing like pictures and like, sob stories where it was like, oh, I have all this stock and I can't get rid of it. Well, you shouldn't have.
Me.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't have scumbagged the entire community to make a quick buck. And then that's too bad. Actually, I think it was shoes. I feel like it was shoes, actually. A type of shoe that just everybody thought was going to take off and then it didn't. And it just people got left holding the bag.
One of those Trump golden shoes.
Yeah, maybe the Trump. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a dangerous game. It's kind of like the stock market, right?
It has its own economy, yeah. You could be left holding the bag if you buy a stock that people say, "Oh, this is going to skyrocket."
If you invest at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not investing at that point; it's just gambling.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Well, investing is kind of gambling in a sense.
It is, but there's the good kind of investing, and then there's the Wolf of Wall Street kind of investing.
That's true. People should invest in Boeing right now.
Well, you can always invest against Boeing. That could work.
No, they got their strikes going on right now. As soon as that's done, it's all gonna
shoot back up.
It's gonna tank for a little bit, and then it's gonna shoot back up.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Unity.
Did Unity end up going down as a result of the subscription stuff that they?
Oh, I looked at them. They went down. Oh, it was a huge amount. They went down from 40 to like 16 or something like that.
Wow, yeah, that's a major drop.
They crashed massive.
Did they end up going back though?
Just this week, they backed off on the runtime fees.
But did their stock end up going back throughout, during that time, or was it always
No, I'm
down?
saying from when they announced it to now, that's how far it's come down.
Oh wow. Okay, so they never
They never recovered. But I'm thinking now that they backed off on the runtime fees, they might.
well, it'll probably go down even more because the investors be like, "Man, what are you doing?"
Probably for a little bit. Probably for a little bit. But if they can get people back in, then they should, in theory, recover somewhat. Not right to where they were, but somewhat.
Yeah, maybe.
Or they just go out. Unity's too big to go out. Like, they're still used a lot.
Yeah, but I just mean that, like, how do they make money? I know they have some sort of deals, but
Well, they do have runtime fees in certain situations.
yeah, but is that enough?
Well, I don't know. It's kept them going for however long they've been around. I mean, obviously on a slow decline since they had to introduce runtime fees to indie developers. But I don't know. Like anything else, you have to read things and look into it, or you just buy a whole bunch of Count Chocula boxes.
Yeah, I think that's the safer investment here.
Because at least we know the supply is going to be shorted 10 months out of the year.
And nobody dislikes Count Chocula. Let's be honest. This is
I know.
a universally.
They might have completely changed it though. Like, who knows?
That's why another reason to buy it now, vintage. You can sell. This is the real deal. It's like with people. If somebody bought up crates upon crates of Coca-Cola back when they still had cocaine in it, you could sell that at a premium these days.
I don't think you could. I think that's probably not true.
Why?
I'm thinking the government would not like you selling
How would
cocaine
they know?
Coca-Cola.
How would they know? You could just say, well, it's vintage. I didn't say what year it was made.
I think they have means to find out.
They buy one of the bottles from you, open it up, taste it like you see in the movies. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's got it. And then they shut you down.
They get some tips, and then they get some for themselves, and they get a little bit more for themselves.
And then there you go. It's all gone. All swept under the rug.
There was a video last couple of weeks where, I don't know where, I can't remember where it was, but they made some friggin' massive marijuana bust somewhere in the States. They made this massive marijuana bust, and the mayor was there. And he walks by the table with all the weed on it, picks up a bag, sniffs it, puts it back down, and then gives the reporters a thumbs up. I thought it was so funny. With a big smile on his face. I thought it was so funny.
You gotta love your job.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was funny, but no, there's a rule. You don't get high in your own stash.
Well, but if it's not his stash, then he's allowed to get high on it.
That is true. It's not technically his stash. That much is true. There you go. So yeah, I'll check out for Count Chocula. I can't believe it's already almost Halloween. I've already seen Halloween candy in stores. I saw Halloween candy in stores like last month.
Oh, it starts in August, right?
I'm like, don't you think it's a little bit early? I saw some houses around that have Halloween decorations out already. That's only September. The hell?
I mean, it's more interesting to have Halloween decorations than Thanksgiving decorations, I think.
I don't see many Thanksgiving decorations, but don't see many Halloween decorations these days either. But I still don't think you should be putting Halloween out in September.
Are you going to hang something in your window?
No.
To scare people passing by?
No. If they look in my window, they'll get scared enough. That's my position.
On your window, you should put like the price of bread or something.
Somebody, yeah, there you go.
That'll scare the crap out of everybody there.
No, the price spread is okay.
Fine, not the price of everything else. The price of everything else except
price
for bread.
Everything else. Okay, so somebody new moved in across the road from me. I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And a couple nights ago, it was like at night, and I look outside, and that house has like red lights in their house. Like just blood red, like all night long, they had red lights in their house.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they have a dark room?
The windows were lit up in red. I don't know, maybe. But I was like, I think I got Satanists. I think Satanists moved in next across the road.
Are they quiet though? Like, could you hear anything?
No, I didn't hear anything. I don't think
then
I would have.
It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah. No screaming or anything like that. Yeah.
At least they're.
But then the lights were normal.
Satanists.
Yes. But then yesterday, because I was like, last night I was like, I wonder if that's like a common thing for them. Last night, no, the lights were normal. So,
Last night was Friday the 13th. Maybe that's their holy day, so they have to not do that.
oh, I see. Yeah, can't practice Satanism on Friday the 13th.
The opposite of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you could knock on their door when they have the red lights on and be like, "Hey, what you up to?"
I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to be the next person to
Get sacrificed.
find out about the red lights. Yeah.
Well, what are you doing with that lamb over there?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, they might just be setting up a red light district, you know?
In their house?
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Got to start somewhere.
I guess that's as plausible as anything.
You said your street has some interesting characters. Maybe it's just one more.
Well, the area has interesting characters. That's true. No, that house sold really fast, and I just remember thinking, like, God, they must have like hidden so much about this neighborhood from these guys. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is exactly what they're looking for. We got all those homeless people. You know, nobody notices when the homeless people go missing. So maybe the numbers will drop. I'll be the only one who knows. I'll be the only one who knows what's going on because I saw the red lights in the house.
And then you start documenting your stories. You document everything, and eventually you're gone.
That's why I'm not documenting. I'm just keeping it all in my head. I don't want to document it.
Well, you just documented part of it on the podcast.
Well, that's true.
What if they're like avid listeners? They moved here. They moved to where you live because they think, oh, that's where he lives, the famous Dustin.
No, there's probably hundreds of people now who are wondering if I live across the road from them.
That's true. Yeah. The ones with red lights in their house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I have red lights in my house. Maybe Dustin lives across the road from me.
That's right. Yeah, I sacrifice every Thursday. I sacrifice an animal every Thursday night. He must be that guy over there. Yeah.
Can you imagine if they actually wave to you?
Yeah, tonight I look out my window. They're standing in the fucking red light, just waving. So, did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie. Did you?
I did. I watched it last night. Gran Torino.
Spoilers for anybody who's interested in watching Gran Torino.
Yeah, if you're interested in watching a 17-year-old movie.
I mean, it holds up for a 17-year-old movie.
It does. It's true. All right. So tell me what your thoughts on the movie was.
So this movie is a movie that when I was younger, I would never have watched.
Yeah, me neither.
And even now, strictly speaking, I would never have watched a movie like this.
It really is like an older person movie.
It's not so much an older person movie. It's that it's the movie. It's a movie which has the genre of drama, and pretty much nothing but drama.
Yeah.
And I would never watch a movie that just has drama as a genre.
Well, fair enough.
I never did that.
It was a very slow movie.
Yeah, it was slow. It was plotting. I enjoyed the movie. The only thing that got me, the only thing that bothered me was the end. I didn't like how things turned out. I was looking forward to him brutally murdering the gang and torturing them in the process.
I think that was an intentional...
Oh, I know it was intentional, but that doesn't mean... I mean, I knew it. I knew that... I don't think...
No, but I think it was intentional because of Clint Eastwood. You know, like he was always the badass gunslinger, dirty Harry dude. Like he went out and kicked ass and took names, and then here he is as an old man in this movie, and that's what you think you're getting from Clint Eastwood, and then that's not actually what his plan was.
Yeah, but that disappointed me.
Yeah, fair enough. It was a very strange tactic.
Yeah, and it could very well not have worked. That's the worst thing, right?
Well, that's what I thought the entire time. I'm like, you know how these usually go? Like one or two guys will like take the downfall for all of it, and then the other 6 will get off scot-free or get off with 6 months probation or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't even remotely solve the gang problem that he thinks it does. Even if he was unarmed and all that kind of stuff, like I'm sure there would have been a witness or something that was like, oh yeah, he definitely provoked them. Like I think there's a million mitigating circumstances there that was like, this kind of only makes sense in a very limited vacuum.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a shame because otherwise I really did enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
It's not a movie that I would rewatch because again, it's one of those that is very, I would say it's quite sad, all things considered.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of rewatching movies that are sad like that. But, I thought they the relationship between him and the boy, I don't know. I thought that was well done. I thought that he redeemed himself. Clint Eastwood redeemed himself in the sense that like he really passed on a world of knowledge and personality onto the kid, and the kid himself also, like, obviously he grew, but I think he helped Clint Eastwood a lot. Just the fact that he got him out of this rut of his, I would say. I remember the shaman, I guess they called him the shaman, right? At the party when Clint Eastwood was there, he read him and he captured all the idiosyncrasies that he was undergoing at that time. And it was very interesting, yeah, how they kind of foreshadowed that and explained it.
They did, yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie.
But I did like the parts where he was just hanging out with that family. Just like picking away at the food that they were giving him, and like
Yep.
finally acquiesced to the fact that they kept bringing him food. Like he smells it, like finally he smells the food that they're bringing him. It's like, oh, is this the thing that I had before? Okay, yeah, let's have it.
Hey, when the house, he said, better than jerky, really.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
good
yeah, right,
stuff.
yeah.
It's good stuff. I appreciate that. It's nice when a character opens up like that, because I can imagine that's very realistic. I think there's a lot of people who have that mentality about them, and it's always good when they finally open up and lower their guard a little bit.
That's true. That is true.
He also has the talent of, at least for a good chunk of the movie, pulling off, like, I have no idea how someone can pull off not a smirk. Well, what is that? Like a grimace?
Yeah.
Constant grimace on his face. It's
because that's what he did for his entire life.
I know, but it's impressive to just see that. It's like, geez, this guy can pull that off with consistency.
That's Clint Eastwood for you. The entire time I was watching that movie, I was like, he might be the worst person for this movie, but also the best person for this movie. I was like, I don't know how you pull that off, but he did, because he does it. He's not a talking actor. You know what I mean? Like, he's not somebody you expect like big drama scenes from, but at the same time, he's the exact type of person you'd expect to be the exact way he was. So it was like, yeah, okay. I mean, I get it. And he was very limited in what he said at the beginning too, in the first half of the movie. So he opened up in the second half, but yeah, it was weird. But no, the movie was good. It ran like way too long.
Well, it was slower paced.
But I guess,
yeah.
I don't know. They had to. I mean, yeah, but it still ran way too long. It was 2 hours. It was an hour and 50 something minutes or something like that.
It was, yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely slower paced. Like, the first half of the movie I didn't really like, because it was just like, okay, nothing's happening. I get it. He's a racist old man. He's a racist, grumpy old man. Almost everybody knows one. Get off my lawn.
And he literally says that.
I know he does. Yeah.
In more colorful ways than just get off my lawn as well.
That's right. Yeah. And I get it. And obviously he's gonna, blossom and all that. Can we maybe get to some of the blossoming here?
It would be funny though if he never blossomed. It would be funny if he was a curmudgeon the whole way through and then gets killed for other reasons. I mean, that would be an interesting movie as well, I would think.
That's true. But yeah, I thought the beginning dragged on too much, but the second half I thought was very good. The second half was very good.
I thought the priest redeemed himself pretty nicely as well. Kind of, was started out as the goody two shoes, and he was in the end as well. But like the fact that he also grew, that I liked that. Learned a little something about life.
That's true. That is true. I liked that. What's his name? John Carroll Lewis was in it. I think that's his name.
Is that the barber?
Yeah. Oh, John Carroll Lynch. Sorry. I always like seeing him. I like him. He does a lot of the bit parts ever since his days in the Drew Carey Show.
Who did he play there?
He played Drew's cross-dressing brother.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
He ended up marrying Mimi, I think.
I mean, for what it's worth, I haven't seen that show in many, many years. As opposed to other shows which I've probably rewatched at least some episodes of, that one I've never rewatched.
Well, you can't find that show anywhere. I mean, you have to do illegal streaming sites because it's got so much freaking copyrighted music in it that nobody will license it.
Really? So. Why did it have copyrighted music?
Well, even their theme song is
a
very popular rock song. So, so they don't license it. Nobody will touch it, which is very unfortunate because I would watch that again in a second because I love that show. But yeah, it's nice to see whenever he pops up and, I've seen him in a lot of stuff recently. Like he's got some prominent roles in the later seasons of American Horror Story, so I recognize him from that and some other places. So, but that was nice. He's pretty much the only one I recognized other than Clint Eastwood. I guess there were a couple people in there, but the priest was one of the Goonies or something. I think. Where is he? Father Christopher Carley. Oh, maybe not. He looks like one of those guys that was in like Goonies or Sandlot or whatever, but
Because he looks just like an adult version of one of them.
well, because he's got that weird like baby face ginger thing going on, and like there's not a lot of people like that out there, but in movies, especially like 30 years ago, there was more than there should have been. So I feel like he's got that distinctive face, but he doesn't. I guess he doesn't really. He did have a role in House though, which is probably where I actually recognize him from.
I kind of want to know why Clint Eastwood made this movie in the first place. Like, why specifically the Hmong people? Why is it that he was drawn to make it about them? Like, is there a personal connection that he has with them?
I mean, Clint Eastwood didn't make the movie.
But it was directed and produced by him.
Yeah, but it wasn't written by him.
Oh, okay. So he was chosen as a director and producer out of the blue.
Well, yeah. I mean, a writer probably came up to him or something like that and said, take a look at this. But okay, let's see here. The Hmong aspect was very good. At the time, the movie was praised for, actually using Hmong people and portraying certain aspects of their culture. And now I guess later on, now people are saying that there was too much racism in it. But
well,
at the time,
I mean, it's supposed to have the racism.
Yeah, I know. But even the main actor for the boy for Tao, at the time he was okay with it, but eventually he came out and said he was uncomfortable with the amount of racism in it and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I agree that that's the point.
Are you saying that Clint Eastwood deliberately made this movie just so he could be racist against them?
Maybe he might have.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? I mean, that'd be the twist, eh? Oh yeah, let's make this movie, and then he secretly thinks I can be racist.
That's right.
I don't think that's the case. He doesn't come off as somebody who's actually racist in real life.
No, probably not. Probably not. But yeah, so it's kind of gotten both sides of the coin at certain times in its life. And but at the time, like a lot of studios wouldn't have used like Hmong people for something like this. First of all, there's not a lot of them in the acting community, so a lot of them were unknown people, right? But usually they just, when they need to do something like that, they'll fill in with, Japanese actors or Chinese actors or whatever, more common in the film industry. So he was praised for doing that and representing, the gang. Apparently it's a very real thing. The Hmong gangs in certain areas like Detroit, and a lot of first generation Hmong people end up in gangs.
Well, yeah, we saw how it could happen.
Yeah. So that was apparently very, very accurate, very well represented in the community, the community being close to each other and all that kind of stuff. And
I wonder if the writer was a Hmong person.
Dave Johansen and Nick Schenk.
Oh, they sound Hmong.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Absolutely they do.
Yeah, that's a bit weird then, because then it's like, well, I mean, if they research everything, sure, they can do it, but that's probably why there would be a bit of a concern that, oh, well, what if they miss something? What if they do it wrong? What if they are overly racist when maybe they shouldn't be? That type of stuff. Racist from a different perspective, not from just Clint Eastwood saying racial slurs.
Yeah. And then obviously, one of the other big things that was mentioned was, typical white man saves the day kind of thing.
Well, unfortunately, that's how it's that's how it's just going to go in that society, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is. The only way that they could have alleviated the situation is for something bad to happen to him as a white man. Because if something bad happened to one of the Hmong people, well, I don't think the cops would do anything, unfortunately, even with witnesses.
But that was obviously a point in the plot where when they shot up the house,
yeah, nothing happened,
and raped the girl, they refused to It's not even that nothing happens, that they refuse to report to the police.
Well, yeah, okay, that's a different. But I don't know. I never understood it. Like, is that because they were?
Because like, you don't do that kind of stuff because you're just gonna get
Yeah, it's just gonna get worse.
targeted.
For you. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not even about they're they know that nothing good's the police isn't gonna do anything. It's just the fact that they're worried.
Well, it goes hand in hand with the police aren't going to do anything, because you can't just say, "Oh, somebody drove by and shot my house," and it might be this guy, and then they're going to go investigate that guy, and they're going to probably find nothing, and then they're just going to retaliate even harder. So you got to go deal with it personally. Got to go deal with it by getting yourself killed, by reaching for a lighter in your pocket with a bunch of witnesses around.
Like I said, I was really hoping for, honestly, because when the priest visited him the night before, whenever it was, and he finally had a decent conversation with him.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to plan something out where it's like the priest is going to set something up so that all of them are there, and he's going to shoot them up at the same time. Like, can you imagine?
I thought maybe that part was a little bit confusing, because it sounded to me like in their initial conversation, the priest was like, "Yeah, man, go do it."
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I initially envisioned it that way.
And then when he went to confession, the priest was like, "Don't do it. I'm bringing cops." And he actually did bring cops. So, like, I don't know where
he slept on it.
Yeah, I guess.
He was like, "Oh no, this is not a good idea."
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't encourage the old man to go kill a bunch of Hmong people, or get himself killed and endanger an entire other family. The other thing I didn't really like is I felt like, given that the framing device of the whole movie was the death of the wife, I felt like it wasn't that big of an event.
I don't know. He talked about her a couple times, but yeah, you're right. She wasn't really mentioned too often, and he didn't.
It wasn't even about.
He didn't grieve.
It wasn't even about mentioning it too often. Like, there was no grieving from him. There was no grieving from his sons. Like, even when they were at the.
Well, his sons were kind of dicks. Let's be honest.
Well, it's true.
His whole his whole family. That was the whole contrast there. It's like he even says it at one point. Like, I have more in common with these Hmong people, my Hmong people neighbors, than I do with my own family.
True, but you would have thought that maybe they didn't have that sour of a relationship with the mom. You would think with their mom, with the grandma, with the lady who died, where it's like, oh yeah, let's get out of here. I don't have any cell reception, and then they just pack up and go, like
typical Americans. That's all, right?
I guess, yeah. I guess that's what we can chalk it up to.
I didn't pay too much attention to that.
I don't know. I thought it was weird. It didn't matter too much at the end of the day, but I did think it was weird.
It was necessary. It was a necessary plot device to enable the priest to pester Walt, Clint Eastwood, often, because he promised the deceased wife that, yeah, I'm gonna help your husband as much as I can.
That's true. He was very persistent, though. Yeah, give it to him. He was always there. He stalked him to his bar, and that was a priest.
Visited him in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Kind of makes you think the priest might have been be able to do this all along if he wanted to.
Yep, that's right.
He's packing some guns behind that confessional booth.
Maybe they're setting up for a sequel starring the priest.
No. The sequel would have the priest revive Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I was honestly half thinking, because it was open casket, I was half thinking Clint Eastwood would just rise up.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And he would point his finger gun at everybody and be like, and that's how the movie would end. I would love that. That would be amazing.
Do the finger gun thing.
Yeah.
That finger gun thing was so weird.
Well, if Clint Eastwood points a finger gun at you, you'd probably be scared.
Well, maybe. We'll never know now. Anyways, King of the Hill. Rough Knight is still the king somehow. So where do you stand on this?
I'm still going with Rough Knight. As I said, between the two movies, I would rewatch Rough Knight. And for me, I don't know. I like the happy variety of film.
Yeah.
Even though I understand objectively the Gran Torino is probably the better movie.
Yeah, probably overall it probably is the better movie. But yeah, I was thinking last night, like, the thing with Gran Torino is until the end, I didn't feel anything while watching the movie. You're just like sitting there watching it. You're just like, okay, this is happening. And I'm thinking maybe that's why I like comedy and horror so much, because like you're always like laughing or, you're always like feeling something. You're always engaging with the movie.
You didn't feel anything between the two, like when they were building that relationship?
Not really. I mean, it was just an old man teaching somebody how to do things. Like, okay.
Well, it's similar. I mean, like, because I used to be a big fan of like the Karate Kid movies, and obviously this is not the same thing, but there was still that idea of,
Yeah, but that's like cool. That's like action stuff and all that. Like, this
well,
is just
it
like,
had the action in it, but if you take away the action, you still had that feeling of, oh, there's knowledge being passed on. And
well, I don't like that argument because, all right, if you just take away the jokes from a comedy movie, then it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, that is what it is. You know what I mean? So for a movie like this, it was just like, okay, well, nothing's really going on. And again, especially in the first half, like towards the end, like maybe when he was starting to warm up to the boy, and that was a little bit different. But like I said, especially in the first half, like when nothing was happening, it was just like, oh, you're just sitting there watching.
yeah, he was doing that for quite a while, wasn't he? Just sitting there on his porch drinking beer. Man, the man went through like two 12-packs, I think, every day. You saw the cans there. It's crazy.
Well, to be fair, he was dying.
And he was smoked a lot as well, so that's how he kept thin.
Yeah, that's how he kept thin.
He subsisted on beer and jerky.
And coughing up the blood.
Well, yeah, that reduces your weight too.
That's true. Yeah, that reduces your weight just a little bit. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna stick with Rough Night.
It's amazing how this movie that we'd never heard of before somehow continues to be on top.
Yeah, but it hasn't gone up against much.
Yeah, I mean, Gran Torino was supposedly a very good one according to reviews, right?
Yeah, it did have very good reviews.
It's one of those movies that would be nominated during Oscars and so on, talked about as being
Probably was.
high art or whatever. And here we pick a chick flick where, they inadvertently kill a stripper.
True. Well, it's speaks to tastes.
Exactly.
Like I said, I don't think like you said at the beginning, like Gran Torino's not a movie for everybody. And even if it is a good movie, it's definitely not a movie for everybody. All right, well, it's time to pick a new movie on the movie ranking database. So let's see what we pull. Here we go. F off.
What is it?
This actually might be okay, though. Bridesmaids.
Oh, I've seen that movie. What do we do in that case?
Oh, have you actually seen it?
I have seen it. I don't mind watching it again, especially because you haven't seen it, and I think you'd probably enjoy it.
I don't know if I've seen it.
We can watch it. It's okay.
It looks familiar. I know it has Melissa McCarthy in it.
There you go. Let's do it. Bridesmaids.
All right, we're gonna watch Bridesmaids again. Oh, it's also got. Oh, I like her.
You're going to love this film then. You got two actresses that you enjoy watching in it. I figure if I haven't seen the movie in like 10 years, I'll still allow it. Especially because there's plenty of movies that I watched when I was even younger that I would absolutely be happy to watch again as part of this.
That's fair enough. Yeah, it's a 2011 movie. All right, so that's what we're watching is Bridesmaids. Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Ellie Kemper. Actually, it's got a pretty good, some Saturday Night Live alumni.
What is it with these movies? Like, Gran Torino was the odd one out. Everything else is kind of almost the same. I guess VHS was different as well.
It's true. This is a very similar movie to, similar-ish movie to Rough Night. Yeah.
For what it's worth, from what I remember, it is different.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Oh, it's got Terry Crews in it. Okay. Yeah, no, I think it'll be I think this is right-ish up my alley. Maybe not the chick flick aspect, but it's probably going to be a heavy comedy movie.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely comedy.
Anytime you get Melissa McCarthy in there playing a real role, playing herself, her normal, not like with the that other movie that we watched. What was the one with the where they raised the kid?
Life as We Know It?
Yeah, where she had to play like an actual straight shooter. Here she gets to let her hair down and be herself, be her normal comedic self. Bridesmaids it is. I want to see what Rotten Tomatoes says about it. Oh, it's got like really high. It's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. So actually, this is probably like a pretty decent movie. All right. Fair enough.
This might actually topple Rough Night, eh?
It very well might. Given that it's in the same vein, but as a much stronger lineup of characters, it very well might. So we shall see. We'll find out in 2 weeks. All right. This is the point in the podcast where you just start slamming through predetermined segments.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's supposed to work. This is, what would you call this? This is like those old children's shows. They would have segments, right? What's that type of media called? Obviously, it's a TV show, but there's probably a name for it. Like not a variety show, but something. That's what this podcast is.
You find that out, and that could be next week's Word of the Fortnight.
No, and for what it's worth, I couldn't find a word for someone who is like a hatter but repairs hats. Remember we talked about that last time? I couldn't find it.
That's because it probably doesn't exist.
So just go with hatter. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to call it hatter. Anyways, what do you got for us this week?
All right, so the word of the fortnight this time around is lugubrious. Lugubrious. It's an adjective, and the definition is showing or causing gloom or depression.
Lugubrious.
Lugubrious, yeah.
Lugubrious.
This is courtesy of Malcolm Gladwell, yet again. I heard it a while ago on his podcast, but I finally caught up with it. My example is, I'm desensitizing myself so that lugubrious movies stop bringing me down.
They don't bring you down. You don't even recognize a lugubrious movie.
Oh, I know. Gran Torino was a lugubrious movie, I felt.
I guess.
No, it's a good word. I was dumbfounded when I heard it. It's like, what the hell did he just say?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's an interesting word. Certainly an interesting word. I don't think I've ever heard that one. So there we go. Lugubrious is our word of the fortnight. All right. And for the last segment du jour.
Possibly everybody's favorite segment.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
The one we put last because we want everybody to trudge through the rest of the podcast just to hear this.
That's right. There's a reason they call it the main event. Do 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 do. All right, here we go. So we're on our 21st battle. It's between Pokemons 39 and 90. If you want to see what those Pokemon are, you can go to our website. However, Raji and I are going in blind. Here we go, 39.
This is like that person coughing, but like muffled.
That's true. Muffled, it's very deep.
We had a similar one before, but that one was like, you could hear more clearly. This is person like really cough, like horribly, like really loudly.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
A dry cough. Like that person has finished, they gotten over that illness that they were having, and now they're just kind of coughing up all this stuff, and they're almost better.
All right, that's very specifically descriptive, but we'll go with that. Why not? All right, and 90.
That's a terrible sound. There's nothing there.
It's just a very long, continuous roar.
Yeah, but it's not even like a roar. It's like...
Or bellow.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's like it's like somebody opened the like an exhaust or something. Oh no! You know what it sounds like? It's when the toilet on an airplane flushes, and it's like just this airy sound. That's what this sounds like.
There you go. So perhaps this is a flying Pokemon taking up
a dump.
Well, we don't have a lot to go on in this one. We got 39.
I'm going with 39. At least there's some change in how it sounds.
And 90. God, they just sound very similar. All right, I'll go with 39. I will agree with you. There's not much going on.
They're both
ones.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah, they're both terrible, and they're far too similar to be like, yeah, let's fight over it. All right, 22, 55 versus 74. Here we go. 55.
I like that.
That was interesting. It got a little pitchy for me in the middle there, but...
Like a bird whistling.
That's true. All right, and 74.
Oh.
That one started hard out of the gate, but and then crystallized. There's two very common, well, three maybe, very common themes in these cries. They're either highly digitalized, crystallized, or just deep bellowing roars. Those are the three most common things that we've seen.
It's the uncommon ones that are most interesting, I thought.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like the box monkey was a good one, and the horse sounds.
Yep. Well, again,
It sounds like it's gonna start singing like a song, where whistling is part of that song.
well, maybe it's a bird Jigglypuff.
Yeah, could be. It's like in a The first one is like in a haunted forest as well, because the surroundings seem kind of gloomy.
That's true. That is true.
And the second
All
one,
right, well,
I
what
don't
do you
know. The
got?
second one to me, it's. Can you play it again? The second one.
All right, second one, 74.
Mm,
It's got that crystallized tail on it.
yeah, but even just the middle is not as interesting. I'm gonna go with 55.
I think I agree with you. I think 55 is the better sound. They're more unique than the last match.
Yeah,
but
no, they're definitely distinct, but I think that 55 just. I like that. There's more of a difference between each part of it.
yeah, I agree. There's more going on that one. All right, 55's got it. Next one, matchup 23 between 42 and 87. Here we go, 42. That one just kind of
It's like turning on
blast your
TV
eardrums.
on white noise and then
Yeah,
immediately
just
turning it off
static.
because it's so loud.
That's right. That's the static Pokemon. All right, one more time.
Please, no more.
That's just like a sneeze. It's like a sneeze from somebody who has a very annoying voice. Something like that. Yeah. All right, an 87. Let's get away from that one.
Okay, no, that one's acceptable.
That one's acceptable. Kind of a bubble-ish sound, bubble-ish.
Like a
Visualized
mechanical bubble.
There you go, mechanical bubble. That's the best way to.
Like a
That's how we're gonna
cyborg
describe it.
Jigglypuff. Is there such a thing? Cyborg Jigglypuff?
No, there's no such thing as a cyborg Jigglypuff.
Give it time. Maybe next generation.
Believe me, they're quickly running. They're quickly running out of ideas. So yeah, it might happen sooner than we think. Well, who do you got on this one? 42 or 87?
87.
87. All right. The robot Jigglypuff.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds better than white noise on a television.
It does. The white noise thing, that was a really bad sound. That was a really bad sound. All right, here we go. Last one. Number 24, 62 versus 67. Very close. 62. Oh, that was
I like
interesting.
that. Yeah, that's very very melodic.
That's right. Very,
Well, not the Pokemon melodic, but melodic as in the word melodic.
yeah. Yeah, it was very proper. It was very, what do the kids say now? Demure.
Demure.
But not demure. I don't know. There's a trend where I don't
Riz. It's very Riz.
I don't think it's Riz. I don't think that's Riz.
I don't know. It rizzed me up.
It's very fancy. It's a very fancy sound. This Pokemon is probably holding a teacup.
It could. It sounds like it's like a something Eastern. Like
Eastern?
it has an Eastern Asian influence. That type of thing.
Okay, hold on. I'm listening in. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can hear it. All right, and it's going up against 67. Here we go.
Okay, that was interesting.
That one, it just kind of bubbled at the end.
It's like a rat being boiled in a cauldron of something.
Yeah, something's drowning. Something's drowning or getting boiled.
It's a good
That's
one. It's a good one, but I don't know. Like it's going up against 62, and I really like 62.
Yeah. These matchups are always really weird. It's weird to get a matchup like we got at the start where it's like these two very ugly, similar sounds. And then you end up with a matchup that have two that theoretically, in most cases, would individually advance, but now they're up against each other in the first round. So you got to kick one out early.
At least next round won't have that problem.
It's true. But I agree with you. I think 62 is better. I don't like the drowning rat.
It's exactly that.
It's so weird to have the bubbles at the end. That can't possibly be part. But the thing is, too, that can't possibly be part of its cry.
I feel like maybe it's a Pokemon. Maybe it's like a rat with lava or something coming out of it. Is there a lava rat in the special Pokemon list?
No, probably not a rat, but probably something similar to what you said.
Maybe it's Entei.
Yeah, maybe it's Entei. I should have marked some of these more unique ones, and then at the end of the tournament, we could have went through and.
I mean, we can go through all of them at the end of the term. It's not that many.
Well, it's true.
I mean, it takes like a couple seconds to play each one. So we can definitely, we'll have an episode or half an episode dedicated to just going through and being astonished at what each of these sounds actually corresponds to.
Yeah, that's true. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Just to finally put a name to a
rat being boiled alive.
Yeah, bubbling cry. Yeah, that's right. Well, there you go. All right. That's it from us. Thanks for watching. Ciao.